Hey guys, this is Mel, and I'm here to talk about The Vampire Diaries, episode 802, titled Today Will Be Different, which premiered Friday, October 28, 2016 on the CW. Guys, 3 reminders. I'm recording this within the same night I watched the episode for the first time, so you are getting my genuine first impression on the episode. Also, this video is just being made for fun. No money's being made for it. This is just a fun way for me to share my thoughts, theories, and opinions about this episode, as well as what I think could happen in the final season. Also, it's great for predictions because later down in the line, I might want to know if a prediction I made earlier pans out or not. So there is that. So let's get started with the 10-minute clock and let's begin. So something new that we learned in this episode. So as the title of the episode, Today Will Be Different, resonates with us because it is the very first line we get from Elena Gilbert in the very first episode of the series. So that is a little fun tidbit that we get. But for the episode itself, we find out the name of the siren. Her name is Sybil. So it's possible that she's dated back to 2200 BC. Alaric said it was the earliest he's ever encountered anything. Apparently, it's definitely a lot older than the originals. It's definitely older than Silas and Amara. So there's that. Apparently, Sybil, the siren's connection to Damon and Enzo prevents them from venturing far from her. She could call them back at any time. They resist going to her or they go too far. They start to feel physical pain. We saw that through Enzo where he starts getting these really hurtful head pains, kind of like the whole magical aneurysms that Bonnie used to do on Damon. Similar to that, and also the whole bleeding nose bit as well, is what we saw with Enzo. So that's a bit of new things that we learned about the siren today. Now, today's target was Sarah Nelson, aka Sarah Salvatore. The name was taken out of Enzo's head when Sybil kept prying into his head, trying to figure out why she's keeping her out. So in this episode, we see Sarah officially meeting both Stefan and Damon actually learns the truth about Sarah's existence. However, moments before Damon had let Sarah go free after Stefan's begging, Sarah is killed by Sybil, and she forces Stefan to watch. So ending the living Salvatore line as we know it. So after that, the final score goes the Siren 2, Mystic Falls Gang 0.5. Why do that? Is because the Siren manages to sink her teeth into Damon by reworking his memories of Elena to focus it on her being who he had met on the side of the road 8 years ago. And then the siren gets real leverage over Enzo by learning about Bonnie's existence. So why she's up 2 points. Now, why Mystic Falls Gang has a 0.5 tally is because Alaric and Georgie managed to find entries from the year 1790, leading to the arrival of a crate to the vault with a connected sigil to the siren and to Hell, which is possible weapon for them. And I'll get to that later on though. Moving on to the armory discoveries that we learned. Hell could be an actual place. In the previous episode, David said that I saw Hell, and like he kind of kept making references that I know I'm going to Hell or I saw Hell, stuff like that. It's something that you would think is figurative. But in this episode, we actually get a full description of it being an actual place through Georgie. So there's that. Also, the sigil that was found in the 1790 entry by Alaric, and it's the one tattooed on Georgie's stomach, could be connected to the crate of a possible weapon, a weapon that looks like a trident, from my accounts to it. And also, we learned that Georgie claims to have been in Hell when she had flatlined during a car accident, which resulted in her killing her best friend when she was driving drunk, I should say. So there is that. Now, moving on though to the tidbits we learned through couples. Now, Bonnie manages to find Enzo only to be broken over the fact that she can't sever the siren's connection to Enzo. However, in the brief little moment that they had together, they share a very, very passionate kiss, a very tearful goodbye, with Enzo promising Bonnie repeatedly that he'll fight his way back to her. A moment that the siren sees later on when she manages to get inside Enzo's head with Damon's help. So there's that. Moving on, though, to Stefan and Caroline. Stefan plans to remodel one of the rooms in the boarding house for the twins. We actually see him at the beginning of the episode banging down a wall, only later to reveal that he plans to convert that room big enough so that the two twins could live in it whenever they stay over for a visit. Caroline is completely floored and by this, truly surprised and thankful, only to be further surprised when Stefan hides a ring in one of the antique dressers he got for the twins, and therefore her finding it and then him officially proposing to Caroline and her saying yes. So we have a storyline wedding in the future. So moving on to the most shocking moment of the episode. I think the fact is that hell was actually described as an actual place. We heard it throughout the first episode of it being a figurative. We always heard it whenever the vampires talk, saying that they're damned, or that before we found out that purgatory was actually a place, they always said that, oh, I'm done to go to hell and stuff like that. Like similar to stuff like that. So we always thought it would be a figurative place. We learned about purgatory and thought, okay, maybe that's their afterlife and then that's it. But now we got a description from Georgie that hell could possibly be an actual place that any soul could go to. So there is that. So moving on though, the top 3 favorite moments. First one for me has to be Damon and Stefan, and indirectly Sarah. It was great to see the two brothers have that moment together, even though Sarah was in a deadly headlock with Damon. It was just great to see Stefan trying to get through to Damon, trying to get him to fight the hold the siren has over him, and then ultimately winning. It just turned out to be bad when Sarah managed to run into the arms of the siren as she tried to escape, and the siren managed to get her hands back on Damon. So in that brief moment, it was a great connection between the two, and I absolutely loved it. Second favorite moment has to be between Alaric and Georgie, mainly when Georgie shares her story of hell to Alaric and how she truly opens up to him, since we always see Georgie as this this joyous flirt, I guess you could say, who's really upbeat on life. And then to find out this truly tragic backstory to her was definitely an eye-opener. It definitely provided a bonding platform between the two of them, and I really can't wait to see what happens next between them and their discoveries for what it can mean for hell. Since Georgie still thinks that Alaric is lying about the existence of sirens, even though she thinks that that's what they're searching for. So while Alaric's denying it and saying it's all theoretical stuff. So there's that. Another favorite for me has to be Caroline and Bonnie in the hallway when Caroline finally apologizes to Bonnie for pretty much ignoring how she's feeling with the whole fact that she's lost Enzo and trying to get him back. And then we get Caroline promising Bonnie that she'll do everything she can to help her better. What I really liked is the fact that they finally had this moment together. It was finally great to see that Caroline is finally thinking through Bonnie's eyes. I get it that with twins, with her new relationship on the mend, that Caroline has her own life obstacles to deal with. And thankfully Bonnie understands that, but it was just finally great to see that Caroline took a step back and actually realized what it could possibly be for Bonnie that is dealing with all this. So I really like that moment between them. So it was great to have that. Another favorite moment for me has to be Stefan and Caroline. The fact that he gave this surprise about his remodeling idea to create the bedroom for the twins. I wasn't really expecting that, so I really loved that surprise, and Caroline loved it too. And then also to spring it up again with the proposal surprise. I was not expecting that, especially after pretty much that very day Sarah had just been killed. I didn't think he would still go through with it, or if it was just a matter of when he was going to present the idea to her, and then came the proposal as she opened the dresser. But at least they got a little bit of a happy memory to end that dreadful day. So it was just great to see that Caroline is finally having their moment together. So there is that. Last favorite moment has to be Enzo and Bonnie. Mainly it's the flashback part that the siren sees inside Enzo's head that I really like. That main part where Enzo promises to Bonnie that he's going to return to her and he's going to fight until he does so. It was really impactful, really emotionally filled, and I really liked the delivery of that. And you could see that for Bonnie, you could see that she really wants to hold on tight to him and not lose him, but you can also see that she has to let him go in order to give him a chance to survive against the siren type thing. I don't know, I just really loved the performance between them for that. Top 3 peeve moments, let's move on to that. First one is the fact that Sybil is reworking Damon's first memories of Elena. It's very similar to how Alaric had compelled an altered set of Elena's memories of Damon back in season 6. Thing is, though, Elena asked Alaric to do that because she was dealing with grieving over Damon. Sybil is doing this alteration against Damon's will to force his loyalty onto her as opposed to onto Elena. So that's something I really didn't like seeing. So there's that. Also, another thing I didn't like, or I was peeved about, was Bonnie's quote saying, "It makes me feel so alone that I want to die." Yes, it's impactful, yet, I don't know, I felt like that quote really bugged me. And this is during the conversation she was telling Caroline that just being around Caroline and her happiness with the twins, with Stefan, and having everything be so right and in place in her personal life, while Bonnie is pretty much losing the love of her life, who she thought she'd grow old with, and how everything's just spiraling out of control. She has no magic, which is pretty much who her identity was all about beforehand. It's just, that quote really messed with me, as like, it made it seem like Bonnie really didn't feel like she had anything else to live for, except for, like, Enzo was the only thing she was living for. And for me personally, I don't think a relationship should be that all or nothing thing. You should want to live for yourself, not just for somebody else. So maybe that's why it was bugging me for a bit, but that's just my thought about it. And when she said that quote, and then when I looked back on it during my live journal entry for it, it didn't sit well with me. So that's why it's a peeve for me. But it definitely was, I did like how impactful that monologue of hers was, though, for sure. Definitely emphasized just how much in pain Bonnie was in, which I guess might have been the whole point of it. Moving on to what will I remember most when I look back on this episode. I think the most positive thing I look back on this episode is the whole proposal between Stefan and Caroline, for sure. Another thing would be Damon reliving his first meeting with Elena before the siren intervened. We saw the original versions of Damon and Elena during that 322 flashback, but then we see the Damon of 802 coming in and watching the scene happen and pretty much saying, it's like when you're watching your favorite movie and you're saying the lines with the characters on the show. So that part I also liked as well. So moving on, though, to random questions. With Georgie's recollection of hell, it really has me wondering, is it possible that we could see Catherine again? Because we have to remember, in episode 515, I believe, Catherine was finally killed. And instead of going to purgatory, or not purgatory, going to the other side, I got that mixed up, going to the other side with all the other supernatural spirits, she ended up being whisked away into this black abyss. And I think Bonnie made a quote about her going somewhere else, but everyone always assumed that Catherine went to hell. So now that hell is being brought up and being described as an actual place, is it very possible that we will see Catherine again? So I'm wondering about that. Next question. Does Damon have no recollection of Elena now that Sybil has messed with his memory? Does he think that he's been in love with Sybil the Siren for the last 8 years as opposed to being in love with Elena for the last 8 years? I really hope he still remembers who Elena is, and I really hope there's a way to reverse what the Siren had done to him. But last question. If snapping Sybil's neck didn't slow her down, what will? Because when we remember Stefan immediately goes to snap the Siren's neck after Sarah was stabbed. He turns to Sarah, but with Damon's quick line saying it's going to take more than that to take her down, Sybil's already by Stefan Stein and working her magic on her. So if a snap neck won't do, which will usually slow down an original, then what is going to slow the Siren down if not stop her completely? So there is that. Maybe because she has to deal with water, maybe we have to dry her up. I know that sounds bad, but that's always an option or a possibility as well. So moving on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 803, it looks like Caroline is planning for a June wedding. So they're not sure if that's going to be the case, since the series is probably going to have its finale in March. Not sure if that's going to be pushed up a bit, or if there's going to be time jumps. Who knows? But anyways, that's the plan. And Damon finds out and attacks Caroline as his RSVP to the wedding. And it also looks like Sybil the Siren wants Damon to kill Bonnie. And it looks like Bonnie's on the defensive as well. Based off the synopsis, though, for 803, it reads, as Enzo continues to fight the control over him, Bonnie finds herself at the center of a deadly game and forced to make a heart-wrenching decision involving two of the most important people in her life. At the armory, Alark researches a mystical artifact that he hopes will help in their fight to get Damon and Enzo back. Finally, Damon's downward spiral leads him to Tyler Lockwood, who attempts to talk some sense into him before it's too late. Stefan and Caroline also star. I find it funny that in the synopsis itself, it has no mention of what's happening with Caroline and Stefan, and yet in the promo, it's all focused on their wedding plan, so I thought that's pretty funny. But it did show in the promo briefly of Tyler returning, so I'm surprised by that, or I'm excited for that, I should say. Wondering what's happened with Tyler in the last 3 years, because the last time we saw him was briefly in the flash forward, I believe in 703, where Stefan is trying to get a hold of Tyler because he's trying to get a hold of Caroline. And Tyler's in the souped up car. So we'll just have to see where Tyler's been and how he's doing, and if he has heard of from Jeremy at all. So there is that. New questions at all, though. Two most important people in our life. For Bonnie, I'm wondering if that's Enzo and Damon, or if it's Enzo versus someone else. But there is that. Hopefully we'll find more about the sigil that's connected to the siren. Hopefully we'll learn more mythology about how they can defeat them. And that is about it. So what did you guys think of the episode? What did you like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about it, as well as your own thoughts, theories, predictions, what you think is going to happen next. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. Also, check out my Tumblr page. Link for that is down below. I reblog promos, web clips, synopses, quotes, GIFs, all of that as often as I can, or as routinely as I can, I should say. So reblog or follow me there if you want to be up to date with that stuff. Also, connected to my Tumblr page is my WordPress account. So go check out all that there. A little bit of everything is connected to that one account for me. Also, check out my LiveJournal account. That one holds an episode recap, which has the link down below. And that one is pretty much a play-by-play of what happened in the episode, as well as my in-moment thoughts and questions that I had while watching it for the first time. So go check that out as well. So that's about it. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you come back next week to see what I have to say about the next episode. So until next time, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. Hope you have a great Halloween weekend. Bye for now.